everyone. Welcome back to the Glassman's world. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. This is Dan the Glassman, and we're about to get started here. Gonna do a live demonstration. Let me turn the mute on here. I gotta mute that volume here. Let's make sure that this looks good, nice and straight. Looks pretty good to me. Let's see what this does. I'm bringing you guys a little bit closer in on the action here. Alright, how does that work? That's a little bit better of an angle. I like that. Did I get in the way here? There. Now my chair's a little bit more free flowing there. I just moved the whole entire tripod. Alright, we'll reset this. So today is New Year's Day, guys. Happy New Year's. Welcome to 2025. It's amazing that we've made it here to 2025. We got through Christmas beautifully. That's a blessing. Remember, water is life. Every drop counts. Be sure to get your water in every day. Remember, we're made out of water. 90% of our cells are made of water. Our bodies are about 60 to 80% water, depending on how much water you intake per day. So today we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna still do some glass here. A couple of the pieces that we made yesterday on our last live stream of 2024. So there's a couple of mushrooms that I made, and the drop of water there. So we got those available. So today, being that it's the first, it's New Year's Day. Today is actually a very important day for me. 9 years ago today was the first time I had ever woken up without a hangover on New Year's Day for the first time in 25 years since I was 15 years old when I started drinking. I believe pretty much at the age of 15 I started drinking, started going to parties and stuff like that, going out, hanging out with friends, just having a good time, going to the parties, going to where all the girls were, going to where all the older individuals were, the seniors, the juniors in school. And I remember some of the first parties I ever went to. There was a lot of the older kids there, the jocks, the football players, And I remember that for some reason, it was important to me, I guess to my pride and my ego, that I was able, as a freshman, it was important to me that I was able to stand with them and to drink with the big boys. You know, right away I started learning how to play drinking games like quarters and all these card games and, you know, all kinds of different games and stuff. And, you know, we turned drinking into fun, right? All fun, recreational. And, you know, I went through that journey, you know, having a good time with it. And then eventually, you know, it just became this thing where it became a part of my life. You know, eventually it became a part of my daily life. And, you know, I always felt like every day after long day's work, I felt that having a beer or two was well deserved, that it was earned, that I had worked all day and I earned that beer or two or three or four, you know. If I had $20 on me, that was easily 4 beers, you know, $4 a piece with $1 tip on each one. Easily, every time that I would go drinking. So for 25 years since I started drinking, I formed this habit that just eventually I realized it was creating problems in my life. You know, a lot of really bad problems, a lot of stuff, you know. Trying to raise my first child while drinking, that didn't work out for me. I have to say, I have to admit, it did not work out for me. My child does not speak to me to this day. That did not work out. It's a huge regret, you know. It's not something I can take back ever. You know, it's just something I have to live with now. I have to know that my drinking was a part of that whole thing with my child leaving and not ever wanting to talk to me ever again. There were other things that came up in my child's life that created that barrier as well, because then my child blocked out everyone else, not just me. So then at that point I realized it wasn't just my drinking, and it was something more personal within my child that was going on. But as far as my drinking, you know, I really feel like that ruined what me and my child, my firstborn, had. And I can never get that back. I can never have the relationship that we ever had again. And that's why I do the best I can with my child now. Well, with my children, but with my other daughter, you know. My other daughter, who's now 12, gonna be 13 soon. My daughter's never seen me drunk, has never seen me drinking. Although in my child's life, in the first couple years, I was drinking. It wasn't until my child was 2 or 3 years old that I stopped. And so, you know, for a really long time, for 25 years, I was drinking, partying. It was something that was super important to me. You know, I never felt compelled to quit drinking, to want to quit drinking. It wasn't until later on in life when I reached the point where I was I was looking for something to give me answers on what my spiritual path was all about. You know, life was all about all this stuff that we were able to gather materially, all these things, having a job, having a car, having a home, having a wife, or having a girlfriend, or having several girlfriends, or having children, or having a really good job, or whatever it was, whatever the status quo is in life, that has nothing to do with our spiritual path and what our soul journey is. And I was really looking and striving for that. And I believe my drinking helped to push me into places of darkness that made me want and desire the need to reconnect with my spiritual path. I think that drinking, so like, we all have our own experiences in life, and I feel like everything happens for a reason. And I feel like everything that I've ever gone through in my life has happened for a reason in order to shape me, my soul, who I am to this day, how individuals look at me, whether they look up to me or look down upon me. My experiences is what creates me as an individual, as a soul, as a person here on this planet, as a humanitarian or not. And so drinking, I think, really helped me to hide from a lot of stuff that was going on in my life, like in my childhood and things. A lot of stuff that I'm still not really willing to talk about just yet. I know that time is going to come soon. And I don't know. I'm kind of just waiting on a few things to happen. And I think then I'll talk very openly and candidly about my past and things that occurred to me, and things that occurred to others, which then made things happen to me, and just the whole butterfly effect of things in life. And being younger, and having alcohol around me, having individuals always drinking around me, always being the social norm, like for all of us pretty much, right? Like everyone pretty much accepts alcohol as a social norm. People are like, oh yeah, well, people drink, Some people drink more than others, that's just it. Some people drink more than others. Your uncle so-and-so, he's always getting messed up at the party, so we didn't invite him around too much, but this person, your auntie, whatever, she can handle her drinks, like some people can drink and handle it and not get out of control. And some people, it's like a chemical imbalance, and there's something that's within some of us individuals that as soon as we start drinking, we just want more, and we just want more, and we just want more. And what I've come to learn recently is a lot of us, we have parasites, and these parasites are extremely intelligent beings that communicate in a very interesting way, like where they can all communicate to each other throughout your whole body through, like, they put out these senses or these pulses or whatever it is. But scientists and doctors recently are coming out and saying that these parasites actually control our minds and our thoughts by controlling our appetites, by controlling cravings, and also by hindering us from taking certain medicines and certain things that may harm them. And that's something that I find is really interesting, is that the parasites, they're so intelligent that they're able to figure out what they need. So then they force you to have these cravings. So then, like, if you got a sugar tooth, people say, oh, well, that's just, you just got a bunch of parasites. You just have an imbalance, a chemical imbalance. But what is that chemical imbalance? These scientists, these doctors, and this is just stuff that I've been learning about. I can't say that this is truth or anything, because I can't share any medical misinformation here. I can just share my experience, and my experience is that I've seen that doctors are talking about the parasites having intelligence and being able to control us in these ways where they send out signals to say, hey, you want this sugar. Hey, you want these foods. You want these acidic foods. You want this alcohol. And so one thing that, I find interesting is some individuals, once they start drinking, they just can't stop. And some are able to just have a beer or two, a glass of wine or whatever, and then be like, okay, I'm good. And it's like, well, but the party's not even over yet. What do you mean that you're good? Like, we still got hours of partying, New Year's Eve New Year's hasn't even hit. Midnight hasn't hit yet. We're going to be partying all the way through to the next day, like, those are the things that some of us individuals, that's what we were thinking about. Or that's what our minds were thinking about, or possibly, allegedly, maybe, what the parasites were having us crave in order to feed them. So we have to remember that there are certain things in our bodies, parasites, cancers, that thrive off of more acidic environments compared to more alkaline environments. So if we make our bodies more alkaline and more acidic, and we start choosing to eat foods that are more alkaline than acidic, then we start to get back to health, and we stop having certain cravings like the sugar cravings and things like that. I've heard that if you start taking apple cider vinegar in the mornings, you can really reduce your sugar cravings throughout the day. And I don't know if that's truth or not, but I find that fascinating, that if it is, there's studies out there, there's research being done that suggests this. So it's possible. I'm not saying it's 100% yes or no. I'm just saying these are things that I've experienced and I've gone through. And someone's research has pointed out some things like this. So in my time of drinking, I've come to understand that a lot of those times I had a lot of cravings that I had to satiate. I had to get rid of those cravings by taking in all this, and I don't know, when I start thinking about well, was it all the parasites and things? Maybe that's part of the addiction process, is that there's some individuals that have more parasites than others, and so their addiction process is a little bit more confusing for them, and and more connected to what the parasites are craving. You know, there's a lot of individuals who they just can't kick the habit. It's a hard thing to kick, and you really got to do this whole mind over matter thing. So, you know, part of my journey of being, of getting, you know, of drinking and basically getting drunk, being a drunk, part of that, you know, was ruined relationships and a lot of issues with things coming up and coming out that you say that you don't even know you're saying, you don't remember saying, you can't take it back once it's said too. So things get ruined all because you're inebriated, you're basically unconscious, and just your body is just functioning, but your mind isn't really with it. Your consciousness isn't connected to your body at that point. You get disconnected. And that's one of the things that we loved about drinking, was being able to disconnect from the real world. And maybe at first we didn't understand and we didn't realize that our drinking was just connected to being disconnected to the real world and being disconnected to certain things that have happened in our lives, you know. A lot of us has gone through a lot of childhood PTSD, where things that have happened in our childhood, we seem to carry it with us into our adulthood. And sometimes we start to self-medicate, and we start to hide and basically just get disconnected from those situations, those experiences. We basically try to get it to the point where they get faded out of our memory and we forget all about them. But every once in a while, you know, when you're drinking and you have those blackout moments, things start to come out, they start to come up, and you may start talking about some things that may not even be true. You could even be just blabbing and making things up, you know? Talking about how you just were having a conversation with Smurfs or something, you know? Telling everyone that you just saw the pink elephant, right? But there are some times when, you know, people say that truth comes out when you're drinking, right? Or these feelings come out, because then you get reconnected to things that you've been trying to, like, basically drown, to hide at the bottom of the bottle. And so, you know, after many years that I quit drinking, I finally realized that there was a lot of that childhood post-traumatic stress disorder, the childhood PTSD, that was all connected to all of it. So many different things connected to it, you know. And you know, it sucks that, you know, as a child, I didn't have proper guidance of someone telling me, hey, that's bad for you. Hey, you shouldn't do that. Because alcohol is pretty much, you know, it's socially acceptable. All of my cousins, all of my uncles, all of my aunts, well, pretty much, like, you know, you go to the weddings, you go to the Christmases, the Thanksgivings, there's always the ice chest full of beers, right? And there's always, you know, you always got your uncles drinking, and they're all sitting around, and they're doing whatever it is they're doing, playing cards, throwing darts, shooting pool, working in the yard together, whatever it is that they're doing. You know, they're just always hanging out, and they're laughing, they're having a good time. And you start drinking and you start laughing and having a good time, and it becomes all fun and games until you start hurting people's feelings, by saying things that you don't mean to say, or you start hurting yourself physically, stumbling around, tripping, falling down, breaking things on accident, stumbling with a guitar without a guitar case, falling down and cracking it and messing it up, waking up in the morning and stepping on your guitar because it wasn't put away in the case. You just laid down right there at the bedside because you just walked in and passed out. You know, like all kinds of crazy things that I remember that I did. You know, and it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt, right? Until you get hurt, you hurt someone's feelings, you physically hurt someone, get into a fight or something without even remembering. You know, there's all kinds of stuff that happens, can happen. Getting behind the wheel, you know, thank God I never had any sort of and I never got caught drinking and driving, and I never got in trouble for that. I've never had a DUI, DWI, any of those kind of things. None of those infractions upon my record. Thank God. That would be just a huge mess having to clean up on top of everything else that I've had to endure. But yeah, you know, you could get behind the wheel and not even know that you just like hurt, injured, or ended someone's life. You know, those are things that happened all the time. You know, I watch a lot of videos now, and I watch those videos of people who do those things, and it reminds me of like, man, you could have been in that same situation. You could have been right there having to deal with what they're dealing with. Like, just give thanks and praise that you didn't have to succumb to any of that. But there were other issues and other things that I had to endure and go through. You know, like I said, a lot of ruined relationships, especially, you know, with my own child. That's the worst relationship that I don't know if I can ever repair. You know, all I can ever do is just apologize to my child and just say that I'm extremely sorry for what I put you through. Being a drunk, I'm extremely sorry that I wasn't there coherently as much as I should have been and could have been. I know that's not 100% the reason why my child doesn't speak to me anymore, because my child doesn't speak to pretty much anyone in the family anymore. So it's not just me and my drinking. That's a whole different situation that's going on there. But, you know, ruined relationships, so many instances and memories that I can remember that all you could do is just apologize, try to apologize, and move forward. And some people just couldn't move forward. And you just have to just live with their decision because of some situation that you got yourself involved in or whatever. So, I don't know. It took a while until finally, like I said, drinking and being a drunk and having these ruined relationships, that's what had me start thinking about a new path. I started getting tired of this repetitive cycle over and over and over again. Just doing the same thing over again. And I started realizing, you know, that we were doing the same things over and over again. We were having the same conversations, ordering the same drinks, a variety, a dozen of different ones that I would choose from, but they were always the same, you know, always with the same conversations, talking about the same things with the same people. You run into a new group of friends or group of people and you start talking about whatever it is that you guys talk about and have in common, right? And it's the same conversations, the same group of people, all wearing different clothes. That's all it is. And I realized that. I was like, wow, this is a broken record right here. And so, I realized that for a while. And I saw that in me, and I really wanted to try to quit. And I'm trying to find some new path, a spiritual path that maybe would help. I saw a lot of people going to church. I've always known about Jesus and always known about church and Christianity and Catholicism, and even had gone to a Southern Baptist gospel church when I was younger with my sister. When she was dating an individual who went to that sort of church. And that was an awesome experience, an amazing church, and the vibe, it was just electrifying in there. That was an amazing experience. But I always seeked out, the help from God, the help from Jesus. But I never really understood that path and those things. And so I was looking for something, trying to figure it out. Maybe the Baha'i faith. Maybe it's Buddhism that I needed. What was it that I needed? Scientology? I don't know about that. Like there's all these different things. I was looking for help, finding an answer to get me back on the right path with my spirituality and with my soul. And it took years of trying to realize I didn't have control of my drinking. There were times when I'd be like, okay, I really need to just drink 1 or 2 beers and stop. I don't need to drink 3 or 4 or 5 beers or continue with more. If we had, it all depended on the beers. When I went to the bar, this was an interesting thing. When you go to the bar, you order the more expensive beers, and when you're at home, you get a big old 30-pack of the cheap beers. And I'm just like, wait, why do we do that? Why don't we get the cheap beers at the bar so we can save money and drink more of them, and then at home get the more expensive ones that you can buy by the case and in bulk and save money? I don't know. Those are things that as an alcoholic I thought of. I was like, why do we do this? I don't get it. We're always getting 30 packs all the time for the parties. We're not getting the good stuff for us when it's cheaper to get it that way. So yeah, I just knew that it was a broken cycle and it was always going over and over and over. And a lot of people were turning to Jesus, turning to Christianity for answers, going to church, those kind of things. One day, I don't know if I was drunk, if I had been drinking, if I was hungover. But speaking of ruined relationships, there was a day when I was having a really, really bad argument with someone who basically said that they were done wanting to be with me, and it was just they wanted it to be over. And in my mindset at that time, while being connected to the bottle and the liquor, for some reason, you always go into this whole despair, oh my gosh, life is over, it's all over, I can't be with anyone else, I don't want to be with anyone else but you, and like you just go into like this crazy despair, thinking that your whole entire soul's journey is over and ruined because of one individual in your experience in life. And yeah, you may really feel like this person's soul is your soulmate, your twin flame, your spiritual connection. And maybe this individual is supposed to put you in this spiral to get you to awaken your soul once again. Sometimes people forget, that sometimes the soul journey is very powerful in that way. And it's not about you connecting with someone so you can then just be physically with them and physically intimate and have a relationship in that way with them. You know, maybe we just haven't been taught that enough, that there are individuals in our lives that we are connected to. Some people we're just naturally drawn to. That you're just like, man, I've known you like forever. Like you're just like my brother. You're just like my sister. You're just like another mom to me. You're just like another father figure to me. Like there's individuals in our lives that come in because our souls are meant to connect, you know? And then there's also individuals in our lives that our souls are meant to connect, but they have a more negative impact, which then forces us to create change so we have a positive impact from that negativity. It's like the light comes out from the darkness, You see light better through darkness. And so, I don't know. I understand that my journey drinking was necessary, which is a hard thing to say when you know that it brought you so much turmoil and pain and frustration and all this anxiety and ruined relationships, with so many different individuals, not just intimate partners, but friends, family members, and my own child, you know? And so these are the things that I have to now accept them as they are and just continue to move forward. So on this day that I felt that I was just, losing my partner in life, the individual that I thought I was supposed to like be with for the rest of my life and everything, and journey from then on out, right? Losing that individual, I wanted to end my journey here. And I attempted to. And something happened, which I just call it divine intervention. And instead of being able to go through with what I was attempting to, you can't really talk about these sort of things here. All I know is the object flew out of my hand, flew all the way across the room, landed behind like a bookshelf in the corner, like where, I don't know how, it just perfectly, like a basketball shot, right in, to where I couldn't just rapidly retrieve it. And I was pissed off that it just like flew out of my hand and I couldn't go through with it. And I just remember leaving out the door with my guitar in hand and the clothes on my back, thinking I wasn't coming back. I didn't know where I was going. I had no clue what I was doing. Completely lost. I was on that journey of looking for something, like I said, looking at different spiritual or religions, basically, different religions, different spiritual paths that follow a certain practice, which then leads you to Lord, to Creator, to God, You know, whichever path it is that you choose, it's all going to lead you right back to Creator. And so, and some journeys are just a lot longer, and some paths are a lot longer. That's all it is. And so I ended up just leaving. I was pissed. I had my guitar in hand. I was headed to my local watering hole, a place called the Chiba Hut. Chiba, where they sold sandwiches that were named after different strains of ganja. And so you could get like, you know, a white widow, and it would be like, I don't know what it was, like a turkey sandwich with ranch or something like that. Chicken sandwich with ranch. And then you could get them in different sizes. Nugs, pinners, blunts. So you get them in small, medium, large. And so Chiba Hut was this little nostalgic place that didn't serve anything. Um, it just used the names. It just utilized the names. So it was like a, you know, novelty. But they had a bar. And we would go there all the time because it was a novelty place right up our alley. The environment was awesome. The kids that hung out there, the college kids and all our friends and everyone that hung out there, they were cool. We knew all the bartenders and everyone who served. And also at that time, um, one of my best friends was a distributor for Santa Fe Brewing Company. And we also were roommates, and there was a time when I used my vehicle to deliver Santa Fe Brewing kegs from Santa Fe, New Mexico to Albuquerque when they were still small time, before they even had their fleet of vans, and they were just growing and expanding from their brewery there and different places in Santa Fe, and first time ever expanding out to Albuquerque. So my friend was a huge distributor at the time and helped to get Santa Fe Brewing into all the different local bars and establishments, all the clubs, all the different music venues and places like that. And there were times when we used my Volvo hatchback to deliver a couple kegs from Albuquerque, from Santa Fe to Albuquerque. We'd even set up jockey boxes, which we'd have to find a server to then, someone who had a license to run it, to operate the jockey box, which basically was an ice cooler full of ice, and you had your beer lines running underneath the ice, and then there'd be like one tap or two that would connect to like a couple little tiny, like these little pony kegs that they had, these little smaller kegs with the jockey boxes. So yeah, so I was connected in that way to Santa Fe Brewing through my friend, old roommate, and she brought in a lot of that beer. So during that time, we had stacks of cases of Santa Fe Brewing um, that she utilized to take to the different bar owners and show them. Like, she'd put like a six pack, a variety pack of different ones, and be like, oh, this place, they'd probably be more into these ones than this or that. She'd fill it out and be like, yeah, these guys are more of a dark beer drinker. These guys are more of like the Pilsner kind of drinkers. So she'd fill it out, right? And yeah, she got a lot of it established here in Albuquerque. So we always had those crazy connections with it. And I don't know where I was going with my story from earlier, but all I know is that, I was on my way to Chiba Hut, and that was one place that we had set up. The beers, we actually set up the lines in there, run the lines, the CO2, got it all going. I used to take the actual full size kegs into their freezer and help stack them up and connect them. You know, I was the one who installed them here and there. You know, I wasn't actually ever an employee of Santa Fe Brewing, but I was an assistant to my friend, my roommate, and yeah, and I got a lot of free beer out of it. A lot. Like as much as I could ever want to drink. As much as I was able to drink, like until I passed out. Like literally. You know, those are the kind of situations that I had. As a musician, being a musician in this town in Albuquerque, being a performing musician and playing at all the different clubs and the different bars and all the different events that go on, you know, like playing at the Santa Fe ski lodge, you know, right there, the Bavarian, right in front of the Bavarian lodge, you know, Bavarian, what's Bavarian? It's German for beer, you know, they had a beer house right there, right? Bavarian ales, and you know, like all these different things. And sometimes they'd be like, oh well, we can guarantee you this much plus you get this much in drink tickets. That was part of our payment. They would pay us in drink tickets, and sometimes we'd get food if they had food, you know. So I lived in a way where alcohol was freely handed to me all the time. Anytime I was on stage, here, have a shot with me, and you take a shot with your fans. Here, have a beer. I love you. I love your singing. I want to buy you a beer. Here you go. And you got like 2 or 3 beers already lined up on the stage. And like, because you're on stage, your showmanship, you pick one of those up and you slam it right there in front of the crowd. Boom, and you get this big old reaction, right? Whoa! And they're all slamming theirs too, and the bar's loving it because they know that they're going to make more sales that way, right? And the more sales you make, the bigger a percentage you get. And you know, eventually I realized that I was like, wait a minute. As a musician, we're being used by the bars to bring in their sales so we can get our friends hammered and possibly in trouble because they're pretty much all going to be driving home right after this, you know. And a lot of the establishments, they lost their kitchens. They decided to do away with their kitchens and stop serving food. So then you would just have a watering hole without any way to like sop up any of the alcohol in your gut. They wouldn't serve any more pizza or sandwiches with all the breading, right? They wouldn't have any of that anymore to offer. It was weird. I noticed that. A lot of our places just got rid of the food and said, screw it, we can't afford to pay the staff and the food and whatever. Let's just go to drinks. Focus on the drinks. Focus on the taps. Make sure you get every single microbrewery you can, or at least one of each microbrewery that's local here, and make sure you do that. Because people here like the locals, right? So yeah, all I know is that eventually, over time, it got me in trouble with that relationship. I ended up heading over back to Chiba Hut thinking I was just going to get drunk. After that situation that occurred with the failed attempt, that I was just like, whatever. My life is just ruined. I'm just going to drink it away and be in misery with my friends over here, in misery together. Because misery loves company, right? And on my way to the Chiba Hut, I decided to check out my phone and see where my friends are and who's doing what. And is there any events going on right now at this time? It was in the day, like maybe working on getting close to early evening, but it was still in the afternoon, you know. And I'm looking for an event that's happening because there was always events, and I was a producer of events. I actually helped to bring on some events, you know. So we would bring in events for the family and kids. And we'd also bring in events for just the adults and the grown-ups, right? Different sort of situations and atmospheres. And so, yeah, I was looking for something to do, and I saw that one of our friends, someone who I looked up to as a kind of like a spiritual guide, or someone who I felt had their shit together, in a spiritual sense, that they were just like someone that you could talk to, and they'd help to ground you and get you to understand things. So easy to talk to, a very angelic soul. I don't know if you guys know any of those individuals like that, where you could just go to them and you could talk to them about life, and they'll give you the answer straight up on what they channel, or whatever it is that resonates with them that they're feeling from what they're getting from you, that you're giving to them, and then they give back. And yeah, there's individuals out there who are like that. And I saw that this individual was giving a lecture, a talk on the Buddhist teachings of Jesus Christ. And I was like, I'm looking for a spiritual path. That sounds interesting, because I was leaning towards Buddhism more so than the Christianity. But I had always loved Jesus, had always been connected to Jesus, always grew up in those ways, right? Going to church. I was baptized, certain things. But we didn't go to church all the time. We went to church on like Easter Sunday. I don't remember ever really going to church for Christmas, but I remember going to church for Easter. That was something that we did with our mom. I remember that. And so the whole that connection of Buddha and Jesus, that really perked my interest. I was just like, whoa, what? Wait, what? The Buddhist teachings of Jesus. Like, wait, Jesus was a Buddhist? Hold on a second. So I went over there. It was right up the street. Basically, it was on the corner of where I was headed. Literally. Right up the street from Shiba Hut. Right on the corner at a place called the Peace and Justice Center. A place I go to every Saturday for free food. Here in Albuquerque, I tell everyone about it. They want more and more people to come. The more and more people that come, the more food that they can actually acquire. Right now, they've obtained a certain amount of signatures, so they're allotted a certain amount of food to be able to feed those certain amount of individuals. So yeah, this place, it was hosting my friend, giving a lecture on the Buddhist teachings of Jesus Christ. And I was interested. So I went in. I went to go sit down inside. They welcomed me in. And was listening in on the teachings and things. And then we got to a point where then she was like, okay, we're going to now go into a meditation, a group meditation together. So I want you to close your eyes. So we all closed our eyes, and she started to give us descriptions of what she wanted us to see, to envision. So she was like, okay, I want you to envision a beautiful flower in front of you. And I want you to be able to take in the essence of the flower. And it's a flower of your choice, of whatever comes to your mind, to your heart's desire. Someone may have a rose, someone may have a daisy, someone may have a ganja flower, like whatever the flower is, right? And then then you're breathing in the essence, and you're taking it in, and then as you're taking it in, you take in the whole flower within you. And you breathe it in, and it goes into your body, down through your chakras, and it goes into your dantian, right into your solar plexus, right at your belly. And then it starts to grow, and it starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point to where then it's as if it's given birth to you, and you are now laying within the center of the flower that was just there in front of your nose, that you were just taking the essence in. And it's now the flower has taken you in and your essence. And everyone had their own different journey with that meditation. And for me, it was the lotus flower, which I've never been connected to before that. For some reason, I just saw the lotus flower. I was within the lotus flower, laying like an infant, in an infant, childlike fetus position on my side. I don't remember which side specifically, but I was on my side, laying there in the center of the lotus flower, in the most amazing, loving comfort that I've ever felt. So then we all get out of the meditation, and then we all gather afterward, and they come over to me, and and my friend comes over and says, "Thank you for coming in," and introduces me to a couple individuals there, and they were saying, "Thank you for coming in." And then my friend let me know, like, "Hey, I don't know if you realize this, but this was kind of like a seniors, or like everyone is older here. Like, a lot of the individuals that were here were like 65 and up. And I was the youngest individual there at only like 40 years old. But they welcomed me in. They were very welcoming. And they allowed me to stay. And then they invited me to go have lunch with them afterward. And I was like, no, I declined, because I still wanted to go to my local watering hole and go get drunk and go find some friends and figure out what I was going to do. But all I knew was that meditation put me in the most loving comfort that I had ever felt, and it felt wonderful. And I didn't understand what it was at that moment. And then I decided to move on. I simply walked out the door, started heading to the corner, about to cross the street, when I hear someone shout my name. And it's a friend of mine, a musician friend, and he's waving me over. He's basically catty corner from where I'm located at the Peace and Justice Center to this little old style, small, I don't know, like an old Victorian style home, but small, because they were made for like the campus back in the days. It was like student housing. They only had like one or two bedrooms, very small. And these places were converted into like businesses and different things right there along Harvard Street at Silver. And on the corner there, my friend was calling me over, and so I went over and said hello, and he said, "Hey, how you doing? You should come in and meet my friends here. They're really cool. They're really nice. They allow me to keep my he had the balafon. The balafon is like a xylophone, all made out of wood from South Africa, and it's the balafon. And he was an amazing, talented expert at it. He played so well. He was world renowned, I would imagine. And he was just amazing at what he did. They allowed him to keep his balafon there safely overnight, and he said sometimes they would allow him to sleep there as well. And there was a couch on the porch, so I don't know if he slept outside on the couch or if there was a couch inside that he was also then allowed to sleep on. But where he was speaking to me was on the covered patio there, the porch, and there was a couch right there set up. He invited me in, went inside, saw a couple individuals in there. There was one individual who was sitting down in the far corner of the place, and it seemed like a lot of people were gathered around this individual. So I didn't want to disturb that person. That person looked busy, right, with everyone else. And so I spoke with another individual who was there, who was the tallest individual. I figured, okay, well, maybe this person runs the place. I don't know. He's coming over to me to speak to me, to introduce himself in a very nice, kind way. And then he was like, oh, let me introduce you over here to this individual. And he took me over to where that crowd of small crowd of people were gathering around this individual. And then I met this person who started speaking to me. He walked away from the group and he came over to me, or walked me over away from the group, and he started talking to me. And I was just in that meditation. I had just gone through some weird ordeal with my relationship, and just I just had to get out of there. And I was on my way to go get drunk and lose my mind, to get unconscious once again, right? And this individual, when he started speaking to me, his face literally morphed into different individuals. One of them I recognize as Jesus. There were several others that I did not recognize. I did not really understand what was going on, except that my mind, I was crazy from what I had just gone through in the last hour or so. But I was speaking to him, and he was speaking to me in a way that was telling me everything that I wanted to hear. That, oh, they're working on music projects here. Oh, I love music. I'm a producer. I do music myself. Oh, they're working on film and making their own videos. Oh, well, I've run cameras and I've helped to produce, things on Channel 27 and right up my alley. And I'm a producer, and I can bring in events, and I can bring in talent and all that. And then they're like telling me all these different things. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, I love doing this and building websites. And it was just such an interesting conversation, the very first conversation ever. And the way this individual just was morphing in and out. I don't know. It was weird. It was blurry. It was strange. I can't really explain it. I just know that this person was telling me things that I wanted to hear without knowing me at all. Then he invited me to stay if I wanted to. He told me that they do a nightly program for dinner, and right before dinner they do a program, and basically that they open up this curtain, and they do an offering of the food, and then they sing and they chant and they read out of a book, and then they close up the altar, the curtain there, and then everyone enjoys the meal together. And I thought, well, that sounds wonderful. I never went to the Chiba Hut. That individual speaking to me and morphing in that way pulled me in to something new that I had never experienced before, with this nightly program, daily program of opening up a curtain, offering some food, some water, maybe some milk or cream, some butter, ghee, yogurt, things of that nature, fruit, vegetables, no meat, never offering any meat, They never put alcohol up there. There's never any offering of those things. It was just good, healthy, amazingly tasty, good quality food and water and drink. And I stayed for this program, and they said I could come back again tomorrow if I'd like. And I went back home. I never went to the Chiba Hut. I ended up going home, seeing the person that I was in a relationship with at that time, giving him a hug and a kiss. The person at the time thought that I was crazy, and I was completely like bipolar or whatever, because I just went from this darkness mode to I am like completely light light on air and feeling this energy like I can't even describe, of just simply sitting with these individuals, listening to a few paragraphs being read and shared, offering some food to a spot that was behind the curtain, opening up a curtain and offering food and drink, sharing story, taking the offerings away from the altar, and then everyone partaking in the meal. It was such a beautiful experience. You know, when I was younger, in like 97, I had friends who did things like this that were very communal based. But this was different. I mean, we used to have Sunday potlucks and everyone would gather and stuff. But we would also drink and get inebriated and things, and it wasn't as pure and as sacred as what it was that we were doing here. And at the time, I did not know what we were doing there. What I was doing there. I didn't know what I was doing there. How did I even end up being there? That was the thing. So we're an hour in. I'm gonna shorten this up here. So I go home, completely different. I decide to go back the next day. I go back the following day. I go back about a week straight, pretty much. And I become completely altered and changed. My demeanor is completely different. I'm doing the best I can to do what I need to change my own personal situation so I could save the relationship that I was in at that time. It didn't happen. The relationship still fell apart, collapsed. Whatever happened at that point was too late. The drinking that I did created destruction that I could not repair. It was done. And at that point, I had to move on. I continued going every night, doing this program, to the point to where then they moved from that location into another location, and I ended up helping them with the move, and I ended up staying with them there overnight, and then helping out with the morning program and learning about a morning program, and helping with the morning program, helping with running the location, keeping it clean and ready, and then also getting pulled into a new paradigm of computer software and business marketing 101, and learning a whole new thing with this group of individuals and what they were doing. And we were just moving forward in a whole new direction that I had never known before, never knew that I was even capable of doing these certain things, building websites, taking on clients, being able to actually teach them, to educate them on enterprise resource planning systems, ERP systems, so they can manage their whole entire outfit with one tool. We were pushing Odoo back in 2015, 2016, when like now people are just barely learning about Odoo. You know, people barely right now have Odoo. And we're talking 10 years ago, pretty much, that we were pushing Odoo and teaching people. And I was teaching people how to build their websites and stuff. And so then we had that location for a while. We ended up moving to a new location. And in that location, you know, it was maybe a year later. I'm still doing the programs and everything, but from time to time, in the evenings, I would leave from there and I'd go to the closest local watering hole that I knew. And it was a place that I would perform. And Mondays they would do open mic, and Tuesdays they had Taco Tuesdays, and Wednesdays there was something going on, and Thursdays there was maybe another open night or poetry night or something, and then Fridays was Fajita Fridays. And so there was always a reason for me to be there, which was basically right next door at the Banditos restaurant, and that gave me an excuse to have a couple beers. But at that point, I was a little bit more mindful. I was really drinking only a few beers here and there. Now, every once in a while, I'd slip and I'd have those 4, 5, 6 beers, right? And stumble back. And then I'd wake up completely hungover and have to do the morning program. And that wasn't ever fun. And that didn't feel right. I was really desecrating the situation on what was going on there. We ended up moving to another location where this individual was doing computer repair, and we were doing computer software. We started doing the software in the back. He had the computer repair in the front. He had a big space, and in the front he offered it as an event center so people could rent it out for their different events, meetings, different organizations utilize it for different things, including shows. You could have like live bands perform in there and stuff like that. People could rent it out for weddings and different receptions and parties. There were individual organizations that would come in and they would host meetings. So moving forward, 9 years ago, we're in this new location. I'm building a website for one of our clients. I've pretty much lost all my friends because I started doing this program and everyone thought that I had joined some sort of cult, and they didn't see me around anymore. I wasn't drinking as much as I was, you know. I realized later on in life that all of my friends were basically just my drinking buddies, and they needed someone there with them to verify that it was okay for them to drink as much as they drank as well. As long as they had a buddy to drink with them, then it made it okay, right? So, moving forward, New Year's Eve comes along. This is the year where no one invites me to any of their parties. You know, and I'm a musician still, performing musician, but not so much anymore. I'm not getting invited to different shows. People aren't asking me to open up for them or to do to headline any shows anymore, really. It just kind of went away. So nowhere to go for New Year's Eve. You know, my best friend, the one who I've known since, you know, I was a freshman in high school, since I started pretty much drinking, the whole time, you know, my whole life been drinking with this individual, my best friend. And he shows up and he's like, hey, I'm over at a friend's house, been drinking over there, and there's not many people over there, but if you want to come by, have a few drinks, let's go. And I was like, okay, well, let me finish this up real quick. I'm working on this website. He's like, all right, I'm going to go outside and have a cigarette, and I'll come back in a second and see if you're ready. I was like, all right, cool. So I was just working on the website, and I figured, okay, well, when I hear the door open and close, I can easily just press save and just stop right where I was. So I just tried to get as much done as I could while he was out there smoking, utilizing that time. Let me take a drink real quick. And I realized that time went by. He never came back in. I'm like, what happened to my friend? I go outside. His car's gone. He's not there. I'm just like, really? Like, even he ditched me. Like, man, everyone don't want to hang out with me no more. All right, whatever. It is what it is. I just accepted it as it is. And decided, well, let me just continue working on this website. My client will be happy that I have more of it done by the next day, by New Year's Day or whatever, working around the clock for this individual. And I didn't have anywhere to go. I wasn't going to bring in alcohol to our place of business and our program and what we were doing there. And there was nowhere for me to really go to. I could have walked right down the street to the local watering hole easily. There's several places right nearby to go to. I could have easily gone and just had myself a drink with everyone else and celebrate it. But I decided not to. I woke up that next morning realizing I'm not hungover. The first time in 25 years, I'm waking up not hungover on New Year's Day. Wow, that is something. I started thinking like, wow, well, maybe this is the time that I can stop drinking, because I've been really trying. There was a couple failed attempts. There was one time when I was put on probation and my child was taken from me, and I had to go to court. And I figured at that point too, because this was all around that same time, I figured at that point too, I'm really going to have to do something. So right around December 5th, 9 years ago, my child was taken from me by her mother. No reason. I didn't do anything to our child. She just didn't like the program and what I was doing, and didn't want our child to get sucked into the program. She didn't know what the program was, didn't understand it, didn't realize that it was actually helping me and bringing me back to my spiritual path, bringing me back to life from a walking death, basically. Just going through life aimlessly, like this. Oh, I'm just headed to the same place that everyone else is going. We're all just gonna go back to the earth, right? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Let's not worry about the spirit and the soul. Let's just worry about the body, right? And so my ex didn't understand. My child's mother didn't understand, and so took our daughter from me, and decided not to return her. When we were sharing time, like this was half 50-50. She worked in the mornings. I was doing what I was doing at the place of business, so my child could come and be there with me during the day. So in the mornings, my ex would go have teaching jobs or childcare positions and things like that early morning, and would have to drop off our child, then go to work, and then after work would come pick up our child and spend time in the evening. So I would have the whole day with our child, and she would have the whole evenings, and it worked out. It was like a 50-50, like, okay, well, this is fine. This works out for me, it works out for you, perfect. And then decided to take her away. So during December, I'm trying to figure all that out. I'm talking to my ex, and eventually it comes to the point where I'm just like, you know what? If you don't return her, then I'm afraid that we're going to have to take this to court, right? And I simply just said that. It wasn't a threat or anything. It was just simply like, that just is going to have to be done, because those are the steps that are required in order to get your child back into your life, to get legal custody if someone takes them, And I didn't charge her with kidnapping or anything like that, but I mean, it may have been possible, but we didn't need to have that kind of issues and have my child's mom go to jail for anything like that. I just wanted to have my child back in my life. That was it. So New Year's Day comes along. I'm going through all this stuff with my baby's mom, and knowing, like, if I do have to go to court, I'm gonna have to, like, show that I'm not drinking, I'm not an alcoholic, I don't do this, I don't do that. Like, you're gonna have to prove that you're innocent, because you're basically guilty, right? And so I wake up that day, an individual comes in to use the front room for a meeting, starts pulling out these chairs. This is an older a female who's pulling out the chairs, and I decided, like, hey, would you like some help? Let me help you out. Let me grab some of these chairs. I can grab more at a time and set them all up quicker. And so I helped this individual set up the meeting and set up the chairs and everything. And then I just asked, so what is this meeting that you're going to be hosting? What do you have in here today? And this person told me, oh, it's an AA meeting. And it just clicked. I was like, wait a minute. The place that we moved into, that, like, we're slowly transitioning into, the person that's going to be moving out is still utilizing the front space. This is one of the last meetings that's going to be hosted there, because pretty much at the end of the month, we're going to take over the whole entire building, and he's not going to be there, and those meetings aren't going to be there. And it just so happened that I was there, waking up sober on New Year's Day, the first time in 25 years, after having all these different thoughts to stop processing, I need to stop, realizing that I wasn't in full devotional service to my program and my teacher there, because I was a complete disservice whenever I was drinking, whenever I was going out and drinking and then bringing that back, and being hungover in the morning and not being able to be 100%. I understood that I was being a disservice to everyone around me, and also to myself, and to Creator, to God, of which the program was teaching me on how to serve. So it just dinged. I decided, can I sit in with you guys? I've never been to an AA meeting. It was the first time in 25 years I didn't drink last night, and I kind of feel compelled. They allowed me to sit in. They welcomed me with open arms, of course. It was my first AA meeting 9 years ago today. Probably around this time, about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And so then, at the end of the meeting, they came in. And a lot of individuals were talking to me, introducing themselves, thanking me for coming in and for sharing my story or listening to their story. I don't know if I shared my story, but I was listening to their stories. And then they told me, oh, well, if you want to go to another meeting, there's one happening in a couple hours over here. And like, some individuals are like, oh yeah, well, I go to like 2 or 3 meetings. And so I was like, okay, well, let me go there with you. I'll check it out. It's New Year's Day. I ain't have anything else really going on, I don't think. Or maybe it was the next day or something like that. I don't know. But then I remember my friend, who I thought ditched me the night before, he showed up after that meeting. And he told me that he was tired after smoking a cigarette, and after having a couple beers before that. It just, like, hit him. And he was like, I'm tired, and I don't really need to stay up till midnight. I'm going home. And he was supposed to text me or call me and let me know, but then he forgot. And then he got home and he passed out. And I thought he ditched me. And then he told me that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, at least he didn't ditch me. Like, I thought everyone was ditching me in my life here, except for my brothers and sisters that were in the program. And so I ended up, I was like, all right, well, let's go down over to our local watering hole over here. And because I knew that they had a PBR special where you get a slice of pizza and a beer for $4.25. So $4.25, you basically give them $5. You give them like a 75-cent tip, or 50 cents, or whatever it is, or basically it covers the tax or whatever it is, And I ordered that. I ended up giving him the beer and eating the pizza. The reason why I did that was because I knew that very soon I was going to be performing there. I was going to have to force myself to be in a situation like that where people were going to be coming up to the stage while I was performing on the mic. They were going to be offering me shots. They were going to be offering me beers. They were going to be offering me drinks, offering me to cheer them throughout the whole evening. And I needed to basically get to a point right away where I could be in a bar, in a club, in an event establishment that served alcohol, or I was going to have to give up performing and give up being a musician on stage at that time. So that was the toss up. Am I going to quit performing, or am I going to get over here and be able to have a beer in my hand and say, sorry, no, I can't have that, but hey, can I pass that over to my bass player? Can I pass, like, oh, I'll take that beer, thank you. Can I pass it over to my drummer, though? Because I'm not going to drink tonight. And just say, I'm not drinking tonight. You don't have to tell him, like, I remember that. I tell him, oh, I'm not drinking today. I'm not drinking tonight. Not telling them, oh, I'm trying to quit drinking. I didn't want them to stumble me. I just want them to like, oh, okay, cool. You're not drinking tonight. That's cool. No worries. I get that. You know? Oh, I got something going on tomorrow. I'm not drinking tonight. Like something real simple like that. I never had a lot of the peer pressure. A lot of people like, oh, just one beer. Like this. There were a couple people. There's one individual who I don't speak with anymore because of interesting situations that developed, and he became against me because of certain truths that I was sharing out there during lockdowns and things. And he went one way and I went the other way, and then he like ended up like calling me this and that, and I was like, F you, dude, like whatever, all this stuff I ever done for you. And he was one of those individuals that used to try to talk me into like, dude, you can have one, like just have one. Like he always wanted me to be that guy that drank with them, so he wasn't drinking alone. So he didn't look a fool drinking alone or something like that. I don't know what it was, why he always like tried to get me to drink. Just have one, come on. You like, no. Once I have one, I'm having 10. Not 10, but once I have one, I'll have two, and two can lead to four easy, and four was like, it's pretty all right, but I might have six. And so that's what really got me to stop, was knowing that I was going to be in those situations, knowing that I wasn't being a full service, I was being a complete disservice to myself and to everyone else around me when I was drinking. And I wasn't able to focus on the program that I was learning and teaching me how to be of devotional service to God, to the Lord, to Creator, and being able to be in devotional service to others, because by serving others, you serve Creator, by serving all creations, the things that Creator created, by serving those things in good ways and positive ways, you serve Creator directly. It's as simple as that. So I had to learn that me being inebriated, I was complete disservice to myself and to others and to the program and to God, to Creator. And so that helped me. Having that AA meeting come to me was like divine intervention. Having my friend go outside and smoke that cigarette and leave, and me thinking he ditched me, that was divine intervention. Had I thought that he just went home, I might have thought, oh, well, I'm going to still go out and drink. But because I thought he ditched me, I kind of just like felt sad and like lonely, like, well, whatever, like no one wants to drink with me, like I don't care, like I'm just going to stay here, I'm not going to drink. And that's what caused me to stop drinking 9 years ago. Waking up 9 years ago today for the first time ever in 25 years without a hangover on New Year's Day was a shock to me. And I saw that door open and I had to run through it and take that opportunity. And I'm happy to say that to this day, 9 years later, I can now say, like, it's not, I'm almost to 9 years. Like, it's now 9 years. Holy shit. I fucking made it to 9 years. Wow. So, yeah, you guys, I just wanted to share that story with you guys. And I'm extremely proud to be able to share that, to say that, and to now be able to share my story with others, and in hopes of inspiring others, of encouraging others to take that step, to take that first step and just try it. Just what's it gonna hurt to try? You know, the other day I was joking around. I was like, back in the day, I was like, well, the reason why I didn't never wanted to stop drinking is because I never wanted to be a quitter at anything. When you joke around with those things, because you want to give yourself an excuse, a reason to continue on, right? You know, I'm 9 years sober, not drinking any alcohol, guys. I could probably handle a beer and not be like, oh, I'm gonna go on a binge and start drinking. But why would I do that? Why? I feel nine's that number for completion, right? I can't screw it up at this point. I've completed 9 years, guys. I've made it to completion level to where I can go and order a beer for friends. I was like, oh, you want a beer? You want a shot? What would you like? I'm at that point. I've been at that point for years. Being in those places where I've had to perform. I've had to be in bars. I've had to I've had drink tickets given to me from the establishment. And like, oh, hey, you want a beer? Let me go get this beer for you. I'll go get the beer for them with my drink ticket because they know I'm in the band and they're not, or whatever. And it was simple. Like, for me, I don't know if maybe I would just have a little bit more, um, I don't know what it is, self control or whatever, but I forced myself to go that first day and get that pizza and beer slice and hand over that beer to my friend. I told him the story yesterday. He didn't realize, 9 years ago, that he was a part of my journey of my sobriety. And just a couple of days ago, I found out that one of our friends that we used to hang out with in high school, he's about to celebrate 2 years. Congratulations. That's huge. Getting past that first year is huge. Getting past the first 3 months, the first 30 days, getting through that first 24 hours. Those are some hard steps. Those are some big steps to take. Huge. So I commend anyone and everyone who's ever tried to quit drinking. I know it's not easy. And I know that, it may take you several attempts. But don't quit trying to quit. Let me do a little reverse psychology on you. Don't be a quitter trying to quit. Don't give up on quitting, guys. Seriously. It's so much better for your health. It's better for your pocketbook. Like, after I quit drinking, I realized, like, man, I can take my child out and we can enjoy these places that I thought, oh, I can't afford that. I can't afford taking her out to eat here and there. They're $25 plates. That's crazy. I'm going to spend $50 on dinner. And then I'm like thinking, like, wait, dude, you spend easily $20 to $50 a night going out drinking for yourself and buying drinks for others. You're already doing that. Go enjoy a nice dinner with your daughter. I realized those things. Those are some amazing things. I had extra money in my pocket. It wasn't just going every day. It was like, what? Now I can put it into other things. I can invest it in other things. Didn't have to worry about oh, I don't have enough for the bills because I done drank most of it away this month and I gotta work hard. And that's the other thing. Trying to wake up hungover and then jump on a torch with a hot flame in front of you, try that. Try to get that heat stroke. Try that. I don't recommend it at all. Any other glassblower will tell you, man, when they've had them hard nights drinking, they probably don't jump on the torch right away or at all. It's too much. It's way too much. You're already too dehydrated at that point. Well, I try to keep this at an hour and a half. We're at about that time there. But I just wanted to thank you guys for allowing me to share this story with you. Like I said, I really hope that this brings some inspiration to someone else. You know, um, sharing our stories out. I think it helps. You know, when we have others like I was just about to say, our friend from high school. You know, I just found out he's about to celebrate 2 years, and to find out that he's on this journey now, and to find out that he had an issue with drinking to the point to where he now has to be on this journey of not drinking, of being on a journey of sobriety. You know, it's a whole different path. It's a new way. We're now celebrating different years. Instead of birthdays being born, we're celebrating birthdays of when we became ourselves again. And so hearing his story the other day and learning that he's got a podcast out, he shared his story on there, and I listened to an hour of his story, and I was blown away about the things that he shared and how a lot of those experiences, I was right there with him, going through the same things, not realizing that we were both just hiding a lot of pain, a lot of misery in those bottles. Every drink, you know? We didn't like the taste of it. We liked the feeling of it. We liked what it did to us. And the other thing too, like I was talking about with those, the parasites and stuff, they give you certain cravings. So you may not like the taste of alcohol, but you're craving it, and you desire that taste. It's weird, you know, like when you crave the taste of whiskey or rum. That's a weird craving. It's not like you don't want to be drinking that. It's not the best thing to drink. Like I'm talking like no chaser, right? Just straight up out the bottle or in a shot glass. It's not good. You learn, um, you build a tolerance for its burning sensation. You build a tolerance for it to where you can then be up on stage and like, oh, my throat's a little bit off. I'm not gonna sing well tonight. Let me get my first shot of whiskey and my beer so I can open up and feel a little loose so I can perform better, thinking I can perform better. When there's so many times when I was stumbling on the fretboard, messing up my notes in my playing, messing up my rhythm, losing track of places, things like that. And so, yeah, um, it, I don't know. Talking about the parasites, I think that they maybe helped to lend those cravings to us. So we could desire those things on which the parasites feed off of. And I wonder, I don't want to be a test subject of any way, but if anyone wants to be and wants to try to figure that out, like that would be a good test to determine like people who have more parasites, or they're more susceptible to certain addictions. Do those parasites lend you certain cravings that you normally wouldn't have in a healthy body that's more alkaline than more acidic? I wonder. I wonder if alcoholics have more parasites than others. I don't know. Maybe others have more parasites, but maybe they're craving other things. Maybe people who eat at McDonald's all the time have parasites, and those parasites are craving the McDonald's, right? Maybe there's reasons why you have certain cravings for certain foods, and instead of using food as thy medicine, we're eating food in a way that it's more poison for us. And that's what I had to learn about the alcohol. And through some journeys too, I've also learned that alcohol can be medicine. You know, we use rubbing alcohol for cleaning things, right? Alcohol can be used for medicine. I've heard of whiskey ceremonies where they do sweats and whiskey and things and certain things to bring out spirits from people, to utilize spirits, the alcohol, the alcohol, the spirits, the concoction, to bring out spirits from individuals, to then cleanse their souls and purify them once again. I understand that there's everything can be medicine and everything can be poison. It's all in the matter of the intention, you know. Sometimes I use alcohol still. I use alcohol when I take a tincture for health, for my body, for my immune system. There's certain tinctures that are alcohol based. You know, some are water based, but sometimes the alcohol based ones, they absorb into your saliva glands and everything underneath your tongue a lot quicker than the water would. Um, you know, there's certain fermentation processes that maybe have a slight amount of alcohol. Kombucha, drinking kombucha is very good for the gut biome, the gut health, being able to do those kind of things, you know. So I still utilize alcohol, but more in a medicinal way. I'm not trying to take a whole bunch of tinctures and just like pound it so then I can get some sort of inebriated effect. I'm utilizing it as a way to where it's beneficial and helpful. There's a lot of individuals who have quit drinking and they cannot even take tinctures. They won't drink kombucha because that flavor, it sets them off. It's a trigger. And I understand that. Everyone has their own journey. I wouldn't recommend anyone going to the watering hole on the very first day they quit drinking and ordering a beer and a pizza special and then trying to mind over matter that and be like, here, give that beer away. And you're watching your friend drinking in front of you, enjoying it in front of you, while all you're having is the pizza. But I knew I needed to overcome that. I had to be mind over matter at that point in time, or I was going to have to quit performing. That's what it was going to take. So I'm going to let you guys go. I want to wish you guys a happy new year once again. I hope that you guys have a successful 2025, whatever success means to you. Success is successful living for me is if you can breathe and you're coherent and you can think and you can function and you can do things, that's successful living to me. But, you know, you may need other things, financially successful, businessly successful, be successful in your relationships, be successful in your daily activities, in your family, you know, all kinds of different things. You know, you're planting seeds. You want to be successful in having that seed grow and be nourished and grow into a budding, fruiting plant or something, you know. So, yeah, plant them seeds for 2025, guys. And just water them, water them, water them. Remember, water is life. Stay in that flow. Every drop counts. Remember, you're a water drop. We're all water drops. We're all drops of water in this vast ocean of life. Every drop counts. Always remember that you count. Your path, this journey, everything that we've done, all the mistakes we've made, it all happens for a reason. So don't discount yourself by all the things that maybe you feel like you've done, the trespasses you've put against others. Always remember that every day There's time for change. Thank you again so much for listening to my story here. If you'd like to share it out, if you think that it'll help others, please do. My friend, he's going to invite me into his podcast. They do a list called the ACEs questions, and I'm going to go through that questionnaire here soon. I haven't looked at it yet, but when he was telling his story, they basically followed that as a guide for the interview, I guess, or the talk, the story sharing, and it really, like, when they were telling about like what each step was and stuff, it made me think about it. And so I really want to look at those questions, those steps, see what they are for me, and then I'll be going on to that podcast. I'll share the link out if I know when it's going to happen, or if we do a pre-recorded one and then I know when they're going to air it or whatever. I'll let you guys know. We'll share it here. I'll put it on the community post. We'll maybe even make a video on it to let you guys know. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Hey, and Happy New Year, Witchy Bitchy. 6 years for you. Congratulations to you as well. That's a huge thing. It's a huge accomplishment. Like I said, that first year, man, that's a doozy. The first 6 months. The first 3 months, like I remember the first 3 months was like, oh my gosh, that took forever. That first 30 days, I remember, earning my first chip in AA, my first 24 hours. And it's like, man, don't slip and have to get another one of these. How many people did I see? They shared their stories in AA and they came back in, getting my 24-hour chip again. I didn't want to be their story all over again. I had to change that for myself. I had to know what I wanted. And when I found that new path with this new program to teach me how to be in devotional service to others, directly to Creator, this program has helped me in so many ways. It's kept my connection with Jesus. It's created a connection with Buddha. It's created a connection with all the others, all the rest. I understand the Bible so much more now. It's brought me clarity. It's brought me wisdom. It's brought me knowledge. It's given me insight. It's given me energy. It energizes me. This program brings me energy when I am completely just done. Somehow, I get a second breath in. It works. It works if you work it, because you're worth it. Right? Yeah. Well, this program, a lot better than the AA program, but I know AA works for people, and I know other ways work as well. But for me, it was understanding that I wanted to serve God, and I wanted to quit being a disservice to God, to myself, and to everyone else around me. It's helped me to understand a lot of stuff that's happened in my path, the whole childhood PTSD, and things that we've gone through, our traumatic experiences that we basically just wanted to drown away, just to make it go away like it was never there, And how many of us gone through our lives and families where people just, shh, don't talk about that, They don't want to talk about those things because it brings up their own guilt and their own shame. And then they are forced to then deal with certain things. And so in this process, it brought out some things that really helped in some situations, in some relationships with my family. And then in other ways, it basically split me and my sister, And it's sad because she's on a sobriety path, for gosh, I would say 25 to 30 years now. Had gone through NA, and I had gone through AA, you know, and yeah, it's all I know is that this program has really helped me. And no, that it's not that. It's what it is my devotion to Krishna consciousness. And that's been my secret and how I quit drinking after doing it for 25 years. And why I'm now celebrating 9 years today. And I'm going to go give thanks to my altar now. I'm going to go give some offerings. And just be grateful that I no longer have to be on that path anymore. That I am on this journey of understanding so much more, that this path has opened me up to the Bible, to where I can understand it. I can go to church, to a Christian church, Catholic church. I can go to any church at this point and understand every which way gets you to God. Every which way, every path that'll lead you back to God. As long as you're getting back to God, that's the right way for you. I thank you so much for listening. If there's any way that I can help you with your journey, let me know in the comments below. We can connect on a more personal way through email, things like that, you know. But yeah, as a non-Christian, it's hard to find support anywhere. But AA, right? AA was a all inclusive, I guess, right? It was non-selected. It wasn't. They didn't put an individual name on it. It basically was a higher power greater than me, that you have to give yourself up to. You have to then put yourself into devotional service, into that. You put yourself into service. You give yourself up. You provide yourself to that. You give yourself up, whether it's time, energy, money, whatever it takes. Scheduling yourself to get there, however you're going to get there, whatever it takes. You just make it happen. But it's only going to happen when you're ready. And you're only going to be ready when you're tired of having that broken record play every night, over and over again. You have them same conversations with the same individuals, all wearing different clothes, drinking the same drinks. I'm done with that. I've been done with that. I can go to the local watering holes and I'll find same individuals who are still there doing the same things but in different clothes, maybe looking a little older. I have a friend right now. He had to go to California. He hit me up. He tried to get me and my family to go and stay in his home because he was worried about losing his home. And I'm like, well, what about us losing our place that we're in right now? Like, I can't just up and move there because what happens when you come back or whatever. But he had to go to California to go get a liver transplant, right? Kidney, liver. He had to get a liver transplant. I don't know how he's doing. I've texted him. I haven't got a reply back. I don't know how he's doing. I don't know if he's made it through or not. But I haven't seen any posts. This individual, if anything happened, all of Budke would hear about it. Everyone would know. And beyond, around the world even. This musician, this individual, he's going to have a celebration for life when his time comes. And I hope it's not anytime soon. I hope that he's on a new journey and a new path, being able to stay sober now, even though he was forced into it. And that's a hard thing. You know, I chose to accept walking through that door when that opportunity was open for me. But when you're forced into things that you don't want to do, that becomes even more uncomfortable. And you want to try to change that situation instead of changing the situation that you should change, which is getting yourself on the right path, on a good path, on a spiritual path, a path back with God. God's the reason for me. God's the reason why I quit drinking. It took a long time for me to understand that, for me to really understand God and to accept God in all ways. In all ways. I'm not selective. I love you all as my brothers and sisters. We're all part of the Creator. We're all part of creation, right? We are creation. We are from Creator. All right. I'm going to let you guys go now. It's been long enough. I appreciate you all for listening in. If you've lasted this long, I really do appreciate you. Thank you. If you can hit that like button, it'll help to get this out for others who may need this. They may need this. So please, hit that like button at least. And if you feel like sharing it to help out others, please do. I usually don't ask. Thank you. Many blessings to you. Hare Krishna. Haribo. And Happy New Year once again. Staying alive in 2025, whatever it takes.